Now we're on Daf Zion Beis Meisvei. Let's ask a kasha now from the Bryce, because you just came to the conclusion that there's going to be 7 days of bracha if it's the first marriage for him. And the Bryce says, Mevarchel B'sula Shiva. A B'sula gets 7 days of bracha. L'almana Yom Echel bracha. Now there's no qualification here that, wait a minute, maybe it's the first marriage for him, and that's going to up the ante from 1 day to 7 days. My love, I feel almana shenisays lebachur. There was an unqualified statement in the Brisa that the almana gets 1 day of bracha. Lo, liam. The Brisa is specifically talking about a case of a second marriage for both of them. Alman shenas almana. There, it's only 1 day of bracha. Aval, what's the implication? That lebachur my shiva. So if it's a first marriage for him, they get 7 days of bracha. Yahachi, listening, it should have said in the Brisa, Mevarchim lebsula shiva. So if it's a first marriage for her, it's automatically 7 days of bracha. Ola mona shenisays lebachur shiva. Since he's a bachur, you have to guarantee 7 days of simcha, and that means bracha. Ula mona, if both he and she are second marriages, then yom echad. So we see that the Brisa holds that any almana gets 1 day and 1 day only, even if she's married to a bachur. The Gemara answers no. That diuk is not correct. Don't tell me that because the Tana wasn't machalik between almana shenisays lebachur, almana nisays almana la'almana, it makes a difference. Milsa psikta katani. The Brisa wants to give us a milsa psikta. That if it's a first marriage for her, guarantee 7 days of bracha. If it's a second marriage of bracha, we can guarantee ourselves 1 day of bracha. Would it be 3 days? Would it be 7 days? That would depend on the chas. But no almana, under any circumstance, gets less than 1 day. Kufa Rav Nachman Omer Lihuna Bar Nosan Tana. We learned in a Brisa Masechet Kalminayin LeBirchas Chasana Basara. How do we know the Birchas Chasana requires 10 people? Shenemar Yikach Boaz Hasara Noshem Mi Ziknei Ha'ir Vayom Shvulachem Po Vayeshevu. Boaz gathers together 10 men, and he says, sit down here. What was the purpose? Why did he gather them together? Must be because he wanted to be Baruch Birchas Chasanim at the time that he married Rus. And Birchas Chasanim requires Asara. By the way, it's very interesting because Boaz is really number 11, because it says, Vayikach Boaz Asara Nosh. Come back to that point a little later. Rabbi Avo Amar Mehoch. There's a different source in a Pasuk in Tehillim to teach us that you require 10 people for Birchas Chasanim. Makelos Baruch Elokim Hashem Yimkar Yisrael. On a brach on the makar is where she has a baby, right? You need kol. V'makelos is milashon kol, and kol requires asara. So when you're being mevarech Elokim al iske makar, which is Birchas Chasanim, that's when you need asara. You need a kol. Rav Nachman, Bahai Krod, the Barbivo, my Dorish Bay. What does Rav Nachman do with the Pasuk Makelos? Why doesn't he use that drasha? Why does he have to stretch his hand out all the way to Boaz? And the answer is, Miboy Chassan. So now we're going to interpret the Makelos as referring to the Birchas Hashira Alayam. Hoy Rabbi Meir Ominayin Shafilu Ubran Shabimei Imam Amr Shira Alayam. Even the fetus in his mother's womb recited Shira, Shenemer Makelos, Baruch Elokim Hashem Yimkar Yisrael. It means even Tinokos that are in the rechem of their mother, which is called Makar, they too recited together with Klal Yisrael Makelos, the Shira. That's pretty wild. Imagine a fetus singing a shira. Reminds me of the famous picture. There's a photograph of Dr. Howie Apfel Shlita, who is an expert at what's called intravenous surgery. It's to do a surgery on the fetus. And the picture has it that the fetus is actually holding on to his hand, his finger, this teeny little fetus. For Idach Rabbi Avo, he uses the pasuk Bakelos for Birchas Chasan Basar and Cain. Meaning, if the word Makelos is coming to teach me Tinokos Shabimei Imanam Chira, Lemakra mi beten Yisrael, my mimakar Yisrael, al iske makar. Rabbi Avo, Hi Koder of Nachmai Darsh. Why did Boaz gather together 10 people, if not for bracha? Humi boile midrash, Amoni velo Amonis, Moavi velo Moavis. To be matir Rus as a Moavis. And this he had to do in front of a kahal of 10 zkenim. And Rabbi Avo says that this pasuk, which talks about Boaz gathering together the 10 people, it cannot be for Birchas Chasanim, Disal Kedait Lebracha, Lo Sagid the Lavs Kanim. Why does the pasuk say that Boaz had to gather together his Kanim? If he was being Mora Hora, he needs Kanim. But if it's only for Birchas Chasanim, there's no din of Kanim at Birchas Chasanim. V'idach, and Rav Nachman, who says that Boaz gathered together the 10 people for the bracha, why does he have to gather together 10 people? If he just wants to darshan, Moavi v'lo Moavis. The answer is he gathered them together for Birchas Chasanim and ain't Birchas Chasanim el Basar. Rabbi Avo says you're right. He could have darshaned in front of less than Asor, but rather he gathered together Asor for Sume Milsa. Anything that you say in front of 10 people is public. If there are less than 10 people, it doesn't become public. How do you know the 10 people is Pirsum? Kira Amarle Shmuel or Abchana Bagdasa, Pok v'Aisi li be'asara, v'Emelecha ban Payu, Amizaka li Uber Kana. So Shmuel wanted to publicize the halacha of Masechet li Uber, and therefore he needed Pirsum, and he asked that they gather together Asara Nosh. So the Sefer HaMachne is very famous for saying that the reason why Boaz had to gather together Asara Noshim, even though he himself is could be one of the 10 Zkenim, so he should have gathered 9 Zkenim. But the answer is Pirsum. Pirsum requires that you notify somebody else who doesn't know. But if you know, then you're not part of the Pirsum. But Boaz knew very well Moavi, V'lo Moaviyah, so he couldn't be part of the Pirsum. The Hilchas HaMazaka Uber Lokon, we don't pass like Shmuel. At the time of the Suin, when he brings her into the chuppah, they recite Birchas Chasan Rabbi Domer after base Erusin, even at the time of Kedushin Mevorchet also. Let's see if we find anything. Interesting. He has a mandiyama that says even according to Rabbi Yehuda, he's going to have to recite Shem Brachas a second time. Okay, I don't know. Very strange halacha reviews because The Machayev of Sheva Brachas is Simcha, and I don't know that the Simcha b'Shas Erusin. Amar Abaye b'Yehuda Shanu, Mipnei sheMesyachid Ima. Maybe this will give us a clue. The Yehuda Shanu means that Rabbi Yehuda, when he said that there's a Birchas Chasanim b'Beis HaEretzim, he was talking about Eretz Yehuda. And in Eretz Yehuda, the minhag of being Miyached, the Chasan and the Kala in the Beis HaEretzim. And Kala b'lo bracha surula b'ayla kenida. So they would have to recite Birchas Chasanim immediately b'Shas Eretzim. Otherwise, the yichud would be awesome. Tanya, you do another brayso baruch Birchas Chasanim b'Beis Chasanim Birchas Eretzim b'Beis Eretzim. The Gemara explains Birchas Eretzim my mevorech Ravin bar Rav Ada. The Rav bar Rav Ada travayu michmei the Rav Yehuda Amri. Baruch atah Hashem al kerim al shekit shanu mitzvos v'tzivanu al arayos v'yasalanu es harusos. V'hita lanu senesuos. Some have lanu al yedei chuppah v'kiddushin. And where's the chasima of Achabrei the Rav Messiah ba mishmei the Rav Yehuda? Baruch atah Hashem mekadesh Yisrael al yedei chuppah v'kiddushin. You see clearly that chuppah itself is part of the mitzvah of marriage. Haraya, they mentioned chuppah in the Birchas Eretzim. Mandalo chasim, according to the first opinion, they didn't add a chasima. Mida have a Birchas HaPeres, Birchas HaMitzvah. This is a short bracha. And a short bracha doesn't require another chasima. Just poseach b'baruch, and that's the end of the story. Manda chasim. He would rather compare Birchas Eretzim to Kedusha. Like the Lashon of the bracha of Kiddush Hayom that they established in Shabbos and Yom Tov. And it always requires a chasima. And Birchas Eretzim was now established as a Lashon Kedusha because we open up the bracha and we say V'tzivanu al arayos, and that means that the Kedusha of Klal Yisrael expresses itself in the fact that we have an Iser Arayos. So if we're making a bracha on the Kedushas Yisrael, and that's why we have the Chasima, Baruch Atah Hashem, Kaddish Yisrael, etc., because in Kiddush, we also have a Chasima, Baruch Atah Hashem, Kaddish Hashem. Torah Rabbanim V'Orchim Birchas Chasanim, B'Asora Kol Shiva. So until now, we've been talking about Birchas Chasanim as part and parcel of the Nesuin, the Chuppah. Now we're talking about Birchas Chasanim during the entire week of Sheva Brachos. Rabbi Yehuda, the who, but the condition that has to be met in order to recite Birchas Chasanim during the 7 days is Shebo Panim Chadashos. Now, some say the Panim Chadashos means they weren't there yesterday, and some say Panim Chadashos means they didn't participate at all in the Simcha. But the brand new Simcha, and that Chidush Simcha is enough to warrant the brachos, because we have to add something to the simcha. We've already been mavarich based on the chiyuv that was generated by the simcha. Now we need a brand new simcha. The new simcha is added by the panim chadash. It's my mavarich. What are the brachos? Rabbi Yehuda. Now we go through the brachos one by one. Turning to Avchesh, Hakol Bara L'Chagah. Second bracha, Brachat Hashem, etc., etc. Yotzer on third bracha, Sheyitzar Sodom B'Tzalmo. Here it says B'Tzelem T'Mustav Nisa. There's another girsa that says U B'Tzelem T'Mustav. Yehiskin lo mimenu binyana deyad b'chat Hashem yotzer ha'odam. So this is the third bracha. And then to Mr. Hashem tomorrow, we'll start with solstice. And I wish you a great day. Thank you so much.